Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. Uh, as you guys already know, the European World Championship has just concluded. This is the last major event of the year before the World Championships. And pretty much until our next Forbidden Limited list, we have a very finite definition of what our format is. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be commentating over the final match. If you guys already know, the finals was Ritual Beast versus the Tenpai Dragon strategy. There are two main reasons why I want commentating over this match. The first reason is if you have been seeing my deck reports and have you been tuning into this channel for a while, you already know that I've been playing Ritual Beast for the past month. And as of the time of this recording, I've only had 2 losses with the deck, and those losses were due to very strict misplays. Outside of that, I have won like 2 to 3 locals in a row. I even had a locals where I didn't drop a single game. So I think I'm a little bit adverse at how to play the Ritual Beast strategy by now. The deck is incredibly complex. It has a lot of very intricate plays, and this video is more to help those who wants to understand this deck, either to play against it or you are piloting the deck yourself and you see these plays. I'm going to give a few disclaimers before like the recording of this video. The first thing is congratulations to Julio Valls and to Esteban. I think they like went through thin and thin grounds to like reach this finals. My commentary is nothing to take away from these two players. They are incredibly strong players. They both deserve to be here, and it's a little bit disheartening because not naming names, I've seen pro players commentate over like how this event goes, and they just said that they don't recognize these people. Julio Valls has a lot of tops, and he even has national wins in the past. He is a very, very, very skilled player, uh, but it's just a little bit unfortunate that players that are not from overseas uh, don't have the insight of every like professional player, and I just wanted to bring that up because there are a few misplays that Julio does, and sadly those misplays are going to give people like the wrong amount of credit where credit is due. I am going to post Julio's deck profile in the description. I highly recommend you watch his video. It is in Spanish, so if you want the English version, Lithium did an English interview with him. I will post that as well. And but it's more so to give awareness to just how incredibly decorated these players are, and they did nothing short to deserve to be in this finals. Uh, that being said, I am going to say this: Julio did do a bunch of misplays, and those misplays were very, very crucial. It ended up costing the match entirely. So I kind of want to commentate over them. Uh, and again, this is nothing against Julio. I'm pretty sure that if any player would be at the finals, they would easily misplay just due to how long the event was, the length of the plays. Again, Ritual Beast is a very complex strategy, so I just want to preface that. But yeah, without further ado, let's begin. So I'm going to speed this up. This is going to be at twice the speed, but I'm going to pause for certain parts. So Julio wins the die roll, and he opens Elder Carnahawk. If you are unfamiliar with Ritual Beast, this is the best opening hand that any Ritual Beast player can have. Like, Elder Carnahawk plays around literally every hand trap except Drone Lovebird. If you see my deck profile, you already know that since I play the Silhouette Rabbit, this combo does, like this opening hand plays around literally every hand trap, including Droll. So Julio activates a Carnahawk to banish the Lara. This is pretty standard. You don't activate Lara's effect. This is also very standard. you summon the ulti Kanahawk, you do Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. This is what we call the Kanahawk Shuffle. So basically what this combo is doing is you're adding any Ritual Beast card and you're resummoning both Elder and Kanahawk. Take note, every Ritual Beast summon is once per turn, so after this summon he can no longer special Elder or Kanahawk. And this is going to be very important because the first misplay is going to come real soon. So with both of them, they're going to add Inheritance. So adding Inheritance kind of telegraphs that he already has another Ritual Beast name in hand. You usually go for Lara or Wen, unless you have another name. In this case, you go for Inheritance because Inheritance is just going to cycle through your names quicker and it's just going to give you more and more options to keep navigating through your plays. So he activates the Inheritance, he does reveal Rampengu, which kind of tells you that he already had it. He explained to his opponent everything because I think his cards are in Spanish, and he is a Spanish player. So basically just making sure that the opponent understands entirely. He discards Rampengu, and now he tries to link someone into Kimun Falcos, but, and this is where the clause that I mentioned comes up. Every summon is once per turn, so after he does this link summon, he can no longer special Kanahawk. He has to find other ways to summon it. And this is very important because Julio just remembered Kanahawk's effect. He forgot to use Kanahawk a second time. And this is going to be the first punish because Esteban called them out on it. Basically, if you're already navigating through your extra deck and you already moved the monsters away from the board, you are kind of forced to summon something, even though it does not have to be the target that you try to summon from the extra deck. But you can choose what you want to summon, but you are inclined to summon. So that's pretty unfortunate because Julio lost out on a Kanahawk banish, and it's not going to cost him the game that much, but it is kind of important to just bring up. He banishes Rampengu. He does that because he has Wen in hand. The Wen is going to special the Rampengu, and now Rampengu is going to banish from the extra deck to just send another name. For those who don't know, this is basically Foolish Burial for Ritual Beasts, but you have to banish a name with the same type from the extra deck. So he sends Winda. Now he banishes Winda and Lara to summon the ulti Nokudrago, and then the Lara triggers, and the Lara is going to special another name from the deck. So this is not necessarily incorrect because like very known players that do not play the Ritual Beast strategy, that knows how to navigate versus Ritual Beast, kind of need to hold their interruptions until the Nemesis portion comes in. However, this is a misplay on Julio's part because what I usually like doing, and I showed this on one of my deck reports, you link away all monsters into Appaloosa before summoning the ulti Nokudrago. The reason you do that is because you insulate your way out of Nibiru range, as well as like other problematic hand traps that just don't target. And this is not going to cost Julio the game per se, but it is something you need to keep under your hat if you are playing this strategy and you just want your plays to be as safe as possible. I am a very conservative player when it comes to this deck, so just summoning Appaloosa before doing the Nokudrago play is important. If they Nibiru you before you summon the Nokudrago is just incredible follow-up that just keeps you in the game after you get Nibiru'd. So he summons Apelio now, and Apelio is going to banish the Kanahawk. I also think this is a misplay. I think the right play is just to link away everything. That way you can banish the Nokudrago with the Apelio, because the ulti Nokudrago can only tag out for one monster instead of two, but it can summon it in attack position, and it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a beast or a tamer. So you can special summon the Kimun Falcos, and then the Kimun Falcos can tag out into two monsters. Let's continue. So he now makes the Nemesis. He detaches for the Nemesis. He adds the flag. He grabs everything. He makes the Retiari. Retiari grabs the Kanahawk. Again, not being safe with Appaloosa, he summons the Kanahawk. And now he remembers his effect because this is basically recovering himself from the first misstep, which was forgetting the second Kanahawk banish. So he banishes Lara, a second Lara. He banishes both for the Kanahawk. The OT Kanahawk is going to return. And he's going to tag up for the Lara because Lara has not been summoned yet. He adds another copy of Kanahawk, which kind of tells you he already has Steeds, or he's going to use Steeds as another add after this. So he now summons the flag, and he's going to banish 3 pro Protoss. So this is a huge misplay on his behalf. If so, see, if he already has the Protoss, there's no reason to summon flag, and there's no reason to like link away the Banshee. I understand that this makes it so the Banshee gets resummoned because you control flag, but in this instance, you just instead of adding flag, you could have just added Apelio, even though you already used Apelio in part of your rotation. And the other reason this is a misplay, and you will see that he does this more than once, and it will ultimately cost him the match, is you're wasting a fire monster to use for Protoss on the next following turn. This is not like the Yubel matchup where you can just trigger Protoss every turn because Protoss itself is a dark attribute. The only fire attributes in your deck are Flag and Banshee. So if you already have Protoss in hand, it's best advised for you to keep the Banshee or find a way to just navigate so the Banshee resummons itself and just keep the flag in hand, because that way you can pop the Banshee for Protoss and then in another turn return the Banshee to summon flag and then use the Protoss to pop the flag, and then in another turn you can just resummon Banshee and then Protoss pop the Banshee again. And in this scenario, it doesn't really matter, but in scenarios where your opponent does stuff like, for example, Spooky Dogwood on you, you kind of are forced to do that play because you are going to give your opponent more than one turn. So he special summons the Banshee again. He banishes the 2 other monsters, and this is why he used the Noku Drago as a material. But in this, in hindsight, you could have just banished 1 Lara and keep 1 Lara. And that way you don't waste the Noku Drago. I think he plays more than 1 Noku Drago in his list, but some lists have been playing 1, and you just don't want to foolishly just waste your Noku Drago like that. This card is your follow-up. If they end up like breaking your entire board, and not only is this your follow-up, but this also insulates you from targeting, which is a lot of forms of disruption right now. So he has the Steeds. He already called fire with the Protoss. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he popped both Flag and Banshee at the same time for Protoss. That is poor card management as well. So the opponent slaps Raigeki. You have 2 Laras engraved, so you can use Lara to just protect in resolution. This is very standard for Ritual Beast. They summon the Pedalfin, which is also fine. Esteban now activates Lightning Storm to just pop those 2. and then he attacks a second Raigeki. If you've been seeing Esteban's like gameplay throughout the Swiss rounds, you already know that this is something really common that he has been doing. He has opening Raigeki, Dark Hole, Duster, Lightning Storm. He basically just plays a lot of board breakers, like the simple spell card ones, and he has been like tearing through fields left and right doing this method, and this is something that led him to the finals. So Julio is reading Lara to make sure that he can use her effect, but if you are very familiar with this, you can only use each effect once per turn, and banishing it from the graveyard to protect is an use, not an activation. The judges are going to clarify that on him to make sure that he's not misstepping with this. Esteban is reading it as well to make sure that nothing is amiss. But yes, we can confirm that each effect of Lara is hard is once per turn. Hard once per turn for each effect. So they're just here explaining everything. And Julio is just trying to clarify. He's not like accepting resolution. And this is going to be important because he's going to like put back the Lara, and he's going to tag out the Konohawk more than likely. Yeah, Julio is just talking to the judges to make sure that everything is not a mess. We can just skip through this. So he uses the Winda to summon the Ultinoku Drago. And this is what I brought up, how you're just wasting Noku Dragos left and right. Like, Noku Drago is your follow-up. This is a card you don't want to be wasting from your extra deck that much. So Esteban looks at his banishes. He grabs the droplets. So I want to talk about Esteban's plays for a little bit. Because Esteban also does misplays. I'm not a Tenpai Dragon duelist, however, I have faced against Tenpai Dragons enough times, and I've pretty much read every single archetype. If you've been tuning into my channel, you already know that I try to give as much informative content out of every like strategy that we see in the game. And him grabbing droplets and setting it, as opposed to just doing prosperity first, is very costful, because he could have just see if this would have negated the Protoss and getting rid of it. Like Julio is not going to punish him for it, because again he wasted all his fire monsters. But in the off chance he did not waste all his fire monsters, this was incredibly important, because he pretty much would have just like navigated back the Protoss. Another play that I'm going to bring up is this is something Julio does not do as well, because Julio does play SP Little Knight in his extra deck. He also plays Appaloosa too, and he also plays the Dolphin. So one other thing Esteban can do is like re-summon Apelio. Try to special summon SP Little Knight. Banish your own Banshee from your graveyard with the SP Little Knight. And since Apelio is a Pyro monster, you can re-summon back the Banshee. And that's another fire monster that you can pop for Protoss. And that pretty much just secures his play. That being said, Esteban also did misplay, because we know he has Sanguine Summoning in his hand. One thing that I think Esteban should have done is I would have activated the Sanguine Summoning, added Pydra, add the I forgot the name of the card, the Sanguine Kaiman, and just passed and set both Kaiman and droplets. And what Kaiman would have done is it would have given him more bodies for droplets, but it also would have secured Rengoku if the opponent tries to like take away his Kaiman before the battle phase. And then the Rengoku was another thing that Julio had to navigate towards. So this was a small misplay from Esteban's part. I think just setting droplets and passing is incredibly bold against Ritual Beast, especially if you don't have any monsters, which is another issue Esteban had. Esteban opened no monsters outside of like essentially the Sanguine Summoning. But yeah, let's digress. Julio draws. Julio just checking out everything. He banishes Apelio and Lara for the Noku Drago, and this is what I meant by Noku Drago being follow up and just being incredibly risky, like keeping the Noku, like just wasting Noku Dragos. Because the moment this Noku Drago gets dropleted or something like that, or just gets outed like for a Kaiju or something like that, you just lose out on all your Noku Dragos and you can no longer do this play. So he summons Rampengu, he normals Lara, and this is where I like the second Kimon Falcos. Obviously, you have the Kanahawk. In my opinion, what he should have done just like shuffle back the Kimon Falcos, having a Kimon Falcos already in the extra deck. Um, he's going to link away both Laras into his IP, and this is the reason why. Uh, for those who don't know, Noku Drago does have a secret effect. It can give 600 attack to every monster it points to, and that pretty much just helps against your OTK. Like right now, he could have had the Noku Drago up here. He could have had anything else down here, and the Lara would have summoned the Retiari, and then the Retiari would have had 500 more attack. And then whatever you had summoned, like for example this Noku Drago, you could tag out into the Apelio, and the Apelio would just give 500 more attack. So everything under the Kimon Falcos would have had 1100 attack. Uh, not adding the 500 from Apelio already, and that's more than enough to just secure OTK. Like, this deck is very hard to OTK if you don't remember all your lines. So that's one thing to bring up. So he links away those two for Unicorn. Unicorn to try to spin back the droplet. And this is another thing I want to bring up. He plays Pedalfin in his deck. We already saw the Pedalfin being rotated in the past turn. So this is already another misstep by Julio. Esteban just activates the droplets. He tries to negate. He only sent a spell card and not a monster, so he's now summoning back for those two monsters. He negates the Protoss, which is kind of invalid because, again, he has no fire monsters. He summons Access Code for 500. The Apelio was summoned in defense, and he had game, but he could have banished the Lara and the Apelio to summon the Ulti Apelio, because he also does run Ulti Apelio. And the Ulti Apelio could have just been summoned, and that could have been another like play that way. Let's go to game 2. So, game 2, Esteban makes Julio go first, which is incredibly bold on his end. But again, Esteban does play more breakers than openers. The only real floodgate he could be playing in his deck, I don't know if he actually plays it, I haven't seen his profile, but I'm pretty sure he's on Rivalry. I think he activated it on his top 4 match, so against Snake Eye. So Rivalry is an incredibly powerful card that you should be considering. I don't know if he plays any more floodgates, but that should have been his strategy if he tried to go first. I think letting Ritual Beast go first is incredibly risky, even though you have the right hand traps for it. For example, more Charmy, because if you don't open anything and Julio's Protoss you, it's game over. Julio summons Kanahawk, it summons it banishes the Lara. This is the one card combo, the like variant of Ritual Beast. The Lara will just summon the Wind. You want another Tamer just to make sure you can summon the Kanahawk. And what this is doing is the reverse Kanahawk shuffle. Basically, it's like the same Kanahawk shuffle, but you're summoning Lara. The one problem with this play is that you already exhausted your Lara as part of your resource, but you still have your ulti Noku Drago. So he activates Inheritance, he reveals Rampengu, he adds Elder, which kind of tells you that he's going to dump another card that's not Rampengu, or if he dumps Rampengu, he probably has another name in hand. He links those two away into Kimon Falcos. He banishes Kanahawk to normal Lara, so he already has Lara in hand. which kind of explain why he added that instead of Elder. And he already went through Wen, so he doesn't have to add Wen. Uh, at that point, I would have just special summoned the Elder from the deck instead of with the Wen. And the Lara is going to bring back the Rampengu. And if you heard anything from what I said game one, this is basically the Nibiru choke point. This is where you try to threaten the Nibiru by making sure you have Appaloosa. But he did already exhaust Lara, so he kind of has to play another way. And Esteban is being smart. Like, he's going to hold out on his place because Esteban's main threat is the Nemesis. He summons the Nokudrago now. And now he's going to summon the Kanahawk. The Kanahawk is going to resummon those two and put in by the Rampengu. The Rampengu was special summoned. And this is going to add him another name from the deck. He adds the Steeds. And I'm trying to make sure, yeah, he already exhausted pretty much all his extra normal summons outside of Retiari. He now summons the Retiari. Retiari grabs the Kanahawk. He normal summons Elder. And Elder for Kanahawk. Kanahawk is going to banish. He banishes the Dolphin. He now makes the Kanahawk again. He just summons back. He grabs the Elder. He does the Banshee. Banshee is going to add the flag. He's going to special the flag. And this is another misplay. So he grabs the Protoss. He's looking at his options. He's going to link away. And he links away for IP Masquerena. This is incredibly greedy on Julio's part because, again, he's not respecting Nibiru. Not only he's not respecting Nibiru, he's not respecting Ghost Ogre either. I think what he should have summoned here was SP Little Knight. Because if Esteban has anything that targets, like for example he was holding out on Imperm for the longest time, or like holding out on something else, this is going to punish Julio very badly. He summons the Banshee back, and he gets Nibiru'd. So I think this all could have been avoided if he would have summoned Appaloosa. I understand that he wasted his Lara, so navigating through his place would have been a little bit more steep. However, he did have access to Apelio, banishing the Kimu Falcos before summoning the Nokudrago. So that's like one argument that you can make on that end. The other thing he could have done was summoning SP Little Knight, because SP Little Knight would have just make sure that even if he gets Nibiru'd, he could at least protect the Ulti Retiari from being banished, and that would have secured him 2 interruptions on Esteban's turn, even after getting Nibiru'd. But yeah, he just loses out on everything. He gets the token, and now Julio is just going to lose this game, most likely, because he exhausted pretty much all his resources. He exhausted all his extra normal summons as well. They're just counting everything for Nibiru. But yeah, Esteban summons Pydra. He already opened Cosmic Cyclone. He ashes the Sanguine Summoning. Esteban has Sanguine Kaimen, and it's game over. So now we're going to game 3. Very well played by Esteban. It was an incredible risk, but Esteban capitalized on Julio's play and him not respecting Nibiru, and that won him game 2. So let's go to game 3. Game 3, Julio goes first again. Pretty standard. Esteban drops Molcharmy, which is a risky card for Julio to play around. We already know that Esteban plays Nibiru in his deck. So he activates Lara, and Lara activates Rampengu. and then the Rampengu is going to banish, and he's going to send that second Lara, which is not incorrect. You can he banishes both Laras for the Ultu no Drago, which is like pretty much part of the line with Rampengu. Rampengu, this is the other one card starter play. He gets Dogwood, and now everything that I mentioned earlier involving him exhausting his summons for Protoss is incredibly more important because Esteban is going to have more than one turn now. So he summons the Lara, that's 100 life points. He's going to banish those for Ulti Kanahak. You pretty much have to at this point. Kanahak is going to return and banish, like return and return. Take note, Julio still has his normal summon for turn, but he has to think about Perolia. I'm not sure if Julio has another name on his hand on this point, because if he did, he could have just set the monster, and that would have made it so he didn't have to waste Noku Drago for Rampengu. So he summons the Kimon Falcos. Kimon Falco is going to banish. He's going to give him the 2 win, and that gives him another Mochomi draw. Take note, he still has his actual normal summon for turn. Actual normal summon / set. So that's already 2 Mochomi draws. Julio is just scrambling. He's just thinking under the pressure. Like again, Esteban has more life points. He activates Dimensional Fissure and then he activates Rampengu, which is also not incorrect. You kind of needed to hold the Fissure. That way you had the fodders in the graveyard for the Noku Drago play. So he just banishes Kanahak. He goes through the lines. Kanahak again. Kanahak bring back. Bring back and summon. The Rampengu was already special summon, so he now has to be a Kanahak. The Rampengu is in graveyard. So he grabs Steeds. There are 2 important notes here. The first note is, yeah, Kanahak is correct. He's going to grab out Steeds. He already has regular Lara in Banish as well as the Battlefin. And now he's going to navigate through all these. He's going to summon Raytiari. Raytiari is going to add summon Kanahak. He's going to do Kanahak's effect. And Kanahak banishes the Winda. And is very uncertain, but if I'm not mistaken, he banished the Lara by effect, and he did not actually normal summon the Lara. That was not his normal summon for turn. That was one of the rotations. Instead of banishing Lara, he needed to banish the Winda first. And the reason you do that is because instead of summoning Raytiari, you can summon Appaloosa. And then instead of using the Noku Drago, he could use like the Wen. And then you could use the Noku Drago to banish itself, to return itself to the extra deck, and then resummon the Noku, the Kimin Falcos that he used to link away because it was banished because of Dimensional Fissure. And that Noku Drago could have tagged itself out to summon Kanahak and Winda. And that made it so he could have reached the Banshee range while having Appaloosa. And let's remember, Julio still has his normal summon. So he's going to Kanahak. Kanahak is going to like resummon Winda. And Pedalfin, most likely. Yep. Because Pedalfin is the one that hasn't been summoned yet. He returns the Noku Drago. Like, again, not taking anything away from Julio. This was just a little bit of poor sequencing on his part, and the way, and he was kind of forced to think on the spot with those sequences because he did open Rampengu, and just Rampengu. Well, he did Lara for Rampengu, which is technically two names, but he pretty much did the one card combo with Rampengu. So now he makes the Banshee. The Banshee detaches, and he's going to add Apelio, which already tells you that he has Nemesis Flag already in his hand. So he summons the flag, and then yeah, and now he's confirming everything, and he's going to summon the Protoss. He's going to do a second Mo Charming, which he probably already drew. And now he's going to Protoss again, summon Protoss. And again, this is incredibly greedy on Julio's end. This is incredibly risky. You already know Esteban is on Nibiru, and not only that, you're giving him way too many life points. So what you should be doing here is you keep your flag in hand and just summon the Protoss. And Protoss pop the Banshee. That way, next turn, you can summon the flag to return the Banshee and then Protoss them a second time. Like Esteban is just on way too many life points. So again, this is incredibly risky. So Julio is going to like activate effect. He resolves, and Esteban did not draw Nibiru, and so I'm unsure how many cards Esteban has in hand because he did waste 2 cards, and I think he drew 4. He drew, I think, he drew because of Rampengu, he drew because of Kimun Falcos, he drew because of Flag, he drew because of Retiari, and he drew because of Protoss. So I think Esteban drew like 5 cards. That being said, and if this is the end board, Julio should have kept the set Steedings in hand and counted Esteban's hand, because if remember, Mo Charming has to return cards if he has more than 6 card difference. And Esteban drew 5 cards out of the Mo Charming, counting the second Mo Charming that's banished. So I think Esteban had like 9 cards in hand. At least 5, at least 8 or 9. So that being said, I think Julio should have capitalized on that. Again, he plays SP Little Knight, and he plays other cards, and Esteban already revealed that he did not draw either Imperm or Nibiru. So yeah, I'm trying to check the hand. I think he has 8. I think he drew for 9. He dusters. That was very not surprising. Lightning Storm, Lara Protect, and most likely he might have Raigeki as well. He normal summons the Hydra. He is on the Protoss. He cannot do any more summons. He attacks with Hydra. He uses Retiari to banish the Hydra. He sets 2, 3, and passes. And now it's Julio's turn. And this goes back to what I said about Flag. Like, if he would have kept the Flag, he could just summon the Flag right now and just try to Protoss away the Flag and just make sure Esteban does not get another turn. Because 28,000 life points is very, very steep. There is no real way he can get to that amount of life points in this game for turn. So, and remember, you did give Esteban 5 cards. So, Esteban is pretty much in a very chill fashion. The only way Esteban loses the next turn is if Julio can really just not put out anything on the board that is enough for the life point contention. There is 7 minutes left on the clock, so Julio has to play incredibly quick. He links away both Laras into IP. He links that away for Unicorn. And again, we're forgetting that we have Pedalfin as a potential card. He has the Ash for the Kaiman, which is correct. He uses Raytiari to grab the win, and the win summons Kimun Falcos. Like, again, this is another misplay because he has Dolphin in his banished, and he has a Ritual Beasting card in hand because we saw him add Inheritance. So he could just get rid of this set card with the Pedalfin instead of the access code. The Apelio is getting banished. He just summons everything. He links all away for Appaloosa now. And now he activates the Inheritance. The same Inheritance he could have banished for Pedalfin. He loses out on everything. Again, if he would have flagged for the Protoss, Esteban would not have gotten guaranteed another turn. So now Julio has to worry about whatever Esteban has. Esteban has Sanguine Summoning. He is going to banish that with Raytiari, which is correct. He does have another Sanguine Summoning though, which is unfortunate. He has Fadra, and now he has Sanguine Kaiman. And yeah, now it's game over for Julio because now the entire Tempai rotation is live, and he's just going to navigate through all the Tempai plays. He just summons Fadra. He's going to link those two away for Super Tempai. Super Tempai is going to attack. The Biden goes back. The Fadra activates to summon Hydra, and it's game. So, incredible match. Again, nothing against these two players. They deserve to be in this finals. But I kind of wanted to talk about this because I strongly believe Julio could have had the match if he would have just sequenced his plays a little bit better, be a little bit more cognizant on just utilizing Flag and Protoss a little bit more appropriately. There are some risks that he had to take, and there's nothing to take away from that. But yeah, I hope you found this video informative to your liking and understanding. I will probably talk about a bit more about the post WCQ in another video. If you are interested in more insight involving plays like this, or me reviewing more matches, or me just describing the event as a whole, or talking about the format a little bit more, feel free to speak in the comments. Just let me know everything that you would want from me that is possible, and I'll try to provide that content for you because I really do enjoy making this kind of type of content. But yeah, without further ado, this has been the WCQ, the rest of the Fiendsmith meta, so called, so on and so forth. Until the next ban list, very soon. Keep practicing and keep dueling.